I definitely didn't go in the sea as much as I go in the sea now when I was a child, but still going down to the beach was always absolutely fantastic. And it's so interesting the way that different coastlines, even within the same country, can offer so much that is so different. I'm Butchard. I'm a fashion historian and curator, and my green and happy space is more of a blue space, I suppose. It is the Walpole tidal pool that we can see here. As you can see, it's an enormous, it's effectively just kind of 3 concrete walls that allow the tide in to wash in and out twice a day, and it means that we can swim here any time of day, wherever the tide is. When we started coming to Margate, lots of friends of mine were already swimming in the tidal pool here. There's another tidal pool in town as well, and there used to be a Lido. This was built in the 30s, really in the kind of golden age of Lido building in the UK. And it's just that really fantastic idea that councils had at the time of creating outdoor spaces for people to enjoy, for people to be healthy, and for people to be happy. I first visited the tidal pool here in about 2011. I was staying in Margate for my birthday for the weekend at an incredible old grand hotel which is just up on the cliff up here, called the Walpole Bay Hotel. It's amazing, and it's been here since the 1920s, and they still have the original lift, and you come down out of the hotel, look over the cliff, and you can see this incredible tidal pool. Now that I live here, I come down here at least twice a week during the winter. In the summer, I tend to come down here every day. If I'm down here in the winter, or before it's really heated up, I will often meet my friend Jo down here on the beach. I will bring a skipping rope and a resistance band. She will bring a mat and some weights, and we tend to exercise here before we then get in. Getting changed once you get out, obviously you just have to try and do it as quickly as possible, and then kind of like run home wearing as many layers as you possibly can. During the summer, I try to come down twice a day. Like, we'll maybe start our day in the tidal pool, and then we'll come down for a sunset swim as well. When you can see the sun setting over the sea here and you're in the pool, it's just absolutely magical. I feel incredibly happy and lucky when I'm down here at the tidal pool. I think it is such a simple piece of engineering. There are so many people that swim year-round here in Margate, and it would be so much harder to do without this pool. So I feel lucky, I feel really connected to nature, because you're either on the beach or you're in the sea, and all you can see is the horizon. You completely feel like you're part of the planet. I didn't really do much outdoor swimming before we moved here, even though I grew up at the seaside. And it's had a huge impact on my health and well-being. And now, lots of my friends, we talk about this all the time. If you haven't been in the sea for a while, if you kind of really busy, or it goes for a couple of weeks and you've not been in the sea, you can really feel the difference. I feel it kind of really helps to centre me. There's a huge endorphin buzz that you get when you come out of the sea in the winter, and it kind of gives you a really glowing feeling for the rest of the day, even the rest of the week, and it becomes addictive. If you don't have that, you really do notice a kind of downturn in the way that you feel. One of the things I love about the tidal pool is that you become so connected with the seasons and with those seasonal changes as well. So in the summer, in terms of rituals that you might have before you get in or out, it's much more of a slow pace. You'll kind of walk down in the morning, like first thing in the morning, just wearing like a change robe over a bikini. You don't really need anything else. You really have to walk a tightrope between fashion and function when you're swimming in kind of open spaces like this, cold water swimming. And I try to mix the two as much as possible, but it's not always completely viable. So I have a big kind of dry robe, change robe type thing that I use in the winter. But I always go in a turban. Keeps my hair out of my face, and it just gives you like a little bit of extra warmth. In summer, I'll definitely go in like a turban and sunglasses and then just a bikini. And then in the winter, I have this great change robe as well that's striped. It kind of looks like a deck chair. And I put that on first, and then you can just lay it up on top of that as well. I think my fondest memory of this space is maybe one of the first ever times I actually swam here, just after we'd moved here, and the sun was setting. And usually what I do now is I'll walk along the wall and go in at the steps. But instead of doing that, I went in just right from the sand, right from the beach, and just kind of walked in, which is not the easiest thing to do because it's pretty rocky, it's very chalky, very seaweedy. So it's not the most glamorous walk, but it is incredibly atmospheric. And I remember finally getting into the pool, looking at the horizon and looking at the sunset, and just thinking I couldn't believe that this is now where we lived. In terms of my daily life, I'm lucky enough to have a sea view from where I live, so I can always see the sea, no matter what I'm doing at home, which is just incredible, is such an enormous, enormous privilege. I do come down to the beach sort of twice a week at least in the winter, more than that in the summer, but just being able to see the sea and see the horizon from home means that I kind of feel like I'm never that far away from nature, even when I'm in my own bed. I grew up in a seaside town, and I've always loved the kind of bucket and spade amusement arcade culture that you get at the seaside. I've always been really, really obsessed with it. I grew up not that far from towns like Great Yarmouth, which I still absolutely love visiting. Walpole is like one of my favourite places to visit in the world. So it kind of makes sense that I would end up in somewhere like Margate, I think, which has a really long history of being a kind of, you know, buckets and spades type resort destination. Even in the early 19th century, people were writing about Margate as a Cockney Arcadia because of so many people from London that were coming to visit for the sea air. So I've always loved the seaside. I love the kind of culture, I love the architecture. I love the way that the light has inspired artists for centuries and centuries. I just think there is so much to love about the seaside. I definitely didn't go in the sea as much as I go in the sea now when I was a child, but still going down to the beach was always absolutely fantastic. And it's so interesting the way that different coastlines, even within the same country, can offer so much that is so different. Here on the sort of Cliftonville sands, we get so many shells that wash up, whereas the coastline in Suffolk, where I grew up, we would get, in the summer, you would just get what we would call sea gooseberries, these tiny little non-stinging jellyfish. And I remember they just looked like jewels. They looked like diamonds in the sand, and I was obsessed with collecting them. And I was obsessed with collecting pebbles, especially like hagstones, the ones that have the holes in them. And I would always come back from the beach with like my pockets full of stones and shells. So I think that is a special place from nature that I remember from my childhood.